Hello guys, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back. Part 2 now of sorting out the body on this Italeri 1/12 Lancia Stratos. If you remember in part 1 we added some filler. I showed you how to find the high and low spots. Generally you're looking for low spots, you probably won't find any high spots. Somebody has asked me how to show how I sort this out because it's like a crisp. I can't think of the name they use now. A McCoy's crisp, that's right, a crinkle cut, and I can feel now that that's got some movement in it. So this is what I was saying. When you do all this work, you need to give it time to settle, to all the solvents to come out, the fillers and the paints, and let it all do its thing. If you want to use car body filler, you can. I have car body filler here. This is the finishing filler. I think it's called Gold or something. U-Pole Gold or something. And it's a very, very fine filler. The only problem is that I find it doesn't stick very well to styrene. I could use it now over this. It'll stick to this great, but it doesn't stick very well to styrene. It will peel. So you have been warned. You can always key the styrene first, but I don't know. Do you want to do that? But I can feel, I mean, obviously you can't feel it. I don't know if you can see it. I very much doubt you can. But you can maybe just see it there. The back end of it's just ridiculous, this area here. Absolutely ridiculous. And then we had some sink marks here, sink marks here, sink marks on all the edges. Okay, so that's all done. Then on the roof, we had this sort of inverted U shape there. No, that's a sink mark from that thick part there. There's a ejector pin mark there, and then there's two sink marks here. So you can see they're all done. That actually feels okay at the moment, but it's not until you get to the next step that you know. And then here, on the back here, I had this V where it's sinking from this. I don't know why they put that in there. I really don't, because it's all covered up in the finished model anyway. And then also we had sink marks here around the back edges. I mean, this is all covered up by the rear spoiler anyway, but it's good practice. And then here we had some sink marks in here, and then down these front edges here as well. Other than that, it's perfect. I also thought there was some low spots here as well from this. You've got this ridge along here where the plastic section changes, so there's a bit of a shrink there. So just took care of that as well. This is just grey Mr. Surfacer in there. That's all I've got over the filler and everything. So basically we put filler on there, then we put brown Mr. Surfacer. You can see the brown coming through here. Literally using different colours so you can see what's going on. So now I'm going to give it a thin coat of black primer, well, a fairly thinnish coat of black primer. Let that harden off. What I'll do is spray all this and then feather out, well, basically remove all the black from the white. I could actually mask it, but I don't want to end up with a hard edge. Same here. I think I may mask these grills actually because I don't want paint build up in those grills, because that will start to soften them up. Their details, they're actually, to be honest, Italeri's detail on those grills is bloody gorgeous. But shame about the rest of it, isn't it? And then here what we'll do is just feather down around the edges and everything. There's a mould seam that comes along into the top of this rail here, so we need to make sure that's all good so we can use our primer. But I use a black primer and then I can rub through, and if I see any black areas still showing through, I know I've got a low spot. If straight away I start to see the filler coming through, I know I've got high spots. Again, practicing the curves. Don't just go in with a bloody heavy stick, because you will see the filler coming straight through. The other thing I've been doing, which is not really much body work, but here's the floor pan. You've got all these ejector pin marks in here if you're worried about them. There's shrinkage here and here. There's shrinkage here, here and here. There's shrinkage in here, which I've put some in, but I can't get it to sand it, but it's behind the seats anyway. But there we go. So that's that all done. The rear bulkhead, this is where the driver's seat goes. I got some shrinkage there in those corners, so I've just filled that in with black. And then you can see here we've got, what is there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 ejector pin marks. And then we've got 2 sink marks there as well, where you've got this, I think that's for the fire extinguisher, that bracket. So filled all that, sanded all that out. This panel here, I don't think I did anything on this at all. I think that's the one panel that's okay. I may fill in these holes, but they're supposed to be spot welds. They're a bit heavy, I think. But we'll see. This here, all across this back edge here, there was a big sink mark in there, so I filled that, sanded it out with black super glue. In here, we have low areas. This is where the anti-roll bar goes. This is actually going to sit in the where are we? I'm trying to think where we're doing now. That's going to sit like that. That's right. So this is where the engine goes. The engine sort of goes where my thumb is. So this here is the that's going to sit on top of there like that. So you can see that there was quite visible. It looks a bit horrible with that big sink mark in it. So I filled that. These here, I'll go through building these up in another video, I think. I'm just generally showing you what I've done here. Nothing on that other than sanding. Again, you know, big sinks all around the sides, get rid of all that. And it really is, you know, if you told me this kit was made in the 1980s and 90s, I would believe you. It's the moulding quality is bad, very bad. So, you know, compared to modern stuff today, I mean, ejector pin marks and stuff, you know, I'm yes, some companies put them in stupid places. These aren't too bad actually, other than these two here, which are in those recessed circles, but it's not too bad to get in there and sand them out. But when you've got, you know, like all around the edge here, it's all shrink. There's shrink marks up here, shrink marks up here, there, you know, just on that one panel. And then all under here as well, all shrinking all around there. It's just, ugh. Oh, and these little triangular pieces, I've glued them in and then filled the seam there just to sand that out. This was all shrink mark as well. I don't know if you can see the black line down the middle, but yeah, it's not very good. As I say, I am not starting this build as an online project. I'm just basically going through the bodywork, and part of getting the bodywork done, you have to get this monocoque built up. This is part of the monocoque. This is steel, the rest is fiberglass, but get that all built up and then fit everything on before we start doing any finishing and painting, because you don't want to be getting that on there and finding it doesn't fit. I mean, you can see the fit is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We've also got to put these wheel arch extensions on and these bits down here, so we'll do all that with it on its monocoque, so we know how it's going to finish up. So what I'm going to do, I am going to use some black Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500, thin roughly 50-50 with levelling thinners, and I'm going to use for this the Italeri, whatever you call them. This is the GHAD 68, and it's got a 0.38 needle in. I haven't put the 0.5 in because I know that this is quite thin, so I'm going to use this to spray it. I'm going to try and get the camera on the spray booth so you can see me actually painting it. So back in a sec. Okay then guys, so I've masked off the bonnet, as you can see there. I did forget to say this is about, I think I forgot to say, this is about 3 days this has been on here now, all this filler and stuff. So I'm going to get it painted, and this is the Gallery water curtain airbrush booth. I've done a video about this and I'm getting somewhere with it now, and I'm going to do a follow-up video on that. And so yeah, let's get some paint down. I'll get the extractor on and go from there. Now then, one good way to see how good this is when the paint is wet. You can catch it in the light, you can see how good your work has been, especially with black. There's lots of dust and stuff in it because the part's full of static. I haven't cleaned it off, but You can see it's not bad. That's pretty flat across there, and on the front area there as well. So yeah, quite happy with that. Let's move on and get something else done. Let's get this roof painted. See how that looks. Again, if we hold it up to the light, there's all the dust in there. I keep forgetting to do the anti-static thing. But you can see that the work we've done is pretty good. It's looking good. But we're going to leave that a few days, 2 or 3 days to settle. And then we'll do the same on this hood. I'm going to grab my anti-static brush. Oh, come here. Right. And this is the Tamiya model cleaning anti-static brush. I'm just literally just go over it, and that should make a big difference. Again, in the light we can see none of that pattern underneath. Can I get it in the light? Come on. Ah, you can. You can see it's coming through. There you go. So that's what's happening where the filler's shrinking back. So it's a lot of work, guys. It is a lot of work, but it's well worth it in the end. This roof is still looking pretty good, as is the front end. I have put a decent amount of primer on there, and the reason is I want it to go back. So I'm going to get the airbrush cleaned out, and then we'll come back when this has started to tack off. We'll see how it looks. Okay, so hour and a half, 2 hours later, we can see we have a nice collection of dotty hairs and thing on here, which is good. But we can see the roof is looking nice and dry. Excuse me. Basically, it's looking pretty good. I can't really see the filler under there. I've got the light to the side, so we've got shadows and stuff. Well, we can just see a mark there. But the filler here is much thinner than it was on the bonnet, on the front edge of the bonnet. So here you can see this Mr. Surfacer is dried. It's not fully cured, but it's dried with a glossy finish, which is cool. Reason being, I noticed when I started spraying the roof, I don't know if you saw it, but it was very thin, and I don't think I shook it up enough. So I actually poured it back in the jar, gave it another stir, and then painted it, and these both have come out, like, as you can see, we've got a semi-gloss finish, whereas here this is quite glossy. But as we can see on here, we can see the edges. It's good that it's dry glossy because it makes it easier to show things up. But around this front edge here, we can see, if we catch it in the light, you can just see the edges there. So that's the sort of thing that's going to come out when we start sanding it. Now the main thing here is patience. Do not start sanding this now. If you start sanding this now, you're going to regret it in the end, because one, it's going to ruin your sanding sticks. It's just going to clog them up straight away. I would suggest leaving it for, you know, if you can, 48 hours, at least 24 hours. We can see on the boot lid here, if I can catch it in the light, you can see there's a reference of the of that sink mark there, and that is where the filler has shrunk back over time. And this is exactly what I was telling you at the beginning of the last video, part 1, which as of today is the 23rd of December, day before Boxing Day, before Christmas Eve, and that, you know, that hasn't gone out yet, that video, but we can see here that that witness is back. So this is the problem when these companies do this and they get these sink marks. They give us all this work to do, and the trouble is, if you don't have the patience and you don't wait around and just wait for things to dry, you know, what will happen is you get this all fitted up, it's lovely gloss white, you've got your clear coat on, you've got your decals down, and then all of a sudden you see it in the light and you've got this bloody great V come back. Same here, all this, I mean, this isn't so important because it'll be covered with the light pods, although if you don't have the cover on, this front lip will be visible, and the same with the roof. So, you know, there are people that are emailing me and telling me they've got, well, not emailing, messaging and saying they've got a perfect kit, you know, roof's perfect and everything. If you've got that, stick with it. If the rest of the kit's really bad, you know, order another kit. And then if you get another bad bonnet, send it back, order another kit until you get a good bonnet. There are good ones out there. I'm being told, you know, I've got one with a really bad roof, but my bonnet's perfect and the boot's terrible. I've got one with a really bad roof, but the bonnet's perfect. It's, yeah, so, you know, I've got ones, people are telling me the roof is perfect, but the bonnet's really bad. So it's unfortunate. It's the way it is. It's just what it is. It's really unfortunate, especially at this cost. So anyway, there we go. That's it for now. I'm going to leave this for a day or two. So that'll be probably Christmas Day. I'll come back and we'll just get some sanding done on here and see if we find any high-low spots or whatever, and then we'll know we're good to go. I don't really want to leave the black primer on there, but the black primer is there as a ghost. In fact, what I'm going to do, because it's been on here a couple of hours, and I got dust there anyway, what I'll do, this sanding stick's knackered. This is a, what is that? I can't even see what it is. I think it's a 400. But you'll see when I start to sand this, again, nice circular motions. And as I say, this stick is knackered and you can see it all clogging up there in the stick. We can wipe it. We can wipe it on our piece of denim that I'm not unprepared for. Most of it comes out, but you really want to leave it a little longer. As you can see, I'm sanding this. And you can see there in the centre, there's an area there that I'm not sanding, and that is the witness. Okay, so we've now got another layer on there. It's a good thick layer of Mr. Surfacer, so that's going to go down. It's just going to keep getting this shrinkage going on and until it stops. The other way, of course, to do it is to use super glue, which doesn't shrink. It still shrinks back slightly, but not a lot. Use the super glue, get it to you know, get it down there. The only trouble is the super glue is generally harder than the plastic, and it's more difficult to get it all nice and flat. Small areas like here, like I say, with these ejector pin marks, it's fine, but with those larger areas, and of course here we don't care if it's not perfectly flat, because it doesn't matter, it's going to be sprayed like flat black or whatever. So I also need to do some research. I think with the HF Group 4 rally cars, I've got a feeling the whole centre monocoque, so all the steel part of the body, I've got a feeling it's all painted matte black, and then the outer is painted white, just like the Group 5 Monte Carlo. Thinking about it, actually, I've got a model. I've got a 1/12 scale model of the Lancia Group 5 Monte Carlo. I built a real one, a replica, which I'll show you a picture of as well. I need to get that kit out and do a review of it. I've never even opened the box. I'm just getting rid of these puppy hairs. as you know, I didn't do the anti-static bit on these. I did the anti-static bit on this, and it's much better. We have one piece of dust there, and the rest of it is fine, look. But anyway, I'll start waffling. I'm going to go away and come back in a couple of days. See you then. Okay, so here we are, 48 hours later now. It's actually Christmas Day, and we're going to have a look at some sanding. Now, I have basically gone over here with a very fine sanding stick and remove the hairs and dust and everything. But we'll have a look at this boot lid first. So I'm going to use this 800 grit, which is a, or maybe, yeah, I'll use the 800. This is the Infini Zebra stick, and it's quite worn out. But basically, we don't want to go too mad, because now we're getting down to the finishing. We don't want to start putting sanding marks in. But we can see here that we've definitely got that V shape in there. So it's gonna, we can either keep sanding now and go through the primer. In fact, what we'll do is we'll go to the 600, which is absolutely worn out. Let's go to the 400. This is slightly worn on this end, because as I said before, the trouble is if you keep using really fine, worn out, you know, not fine when they're new and they're fine, that's great, but when they're worn out, they tend to not cut, they tend to just rub, and you don't really get a true you know, a true vision of what's going on. Now we can see here that we're sanding away at this primer, and we're actually starting to see that V disappear. So it would appear, you can see we're just starting to go through the primer there, but the sunken bit where the V is starting to disappear, it's starting to blend into the rest, which means it's becoming flush. So what we'll do is we'll keep sanding like this until that V disappears, and then we can perhaps give it another coat of primer, leave it another couple of days and see if it reappears. The most annoying thing about this is there is always the chance that this will reappear in 3 or 4 months. It's that's the problem, and that's why you might want to use super glue, as I say, because it won't shrink back like the fillers will. But we shall have to wait and see. You can just hope and pray that underneath the Alitalia decals it won't show up. I'm just wiping this off on my jeans. Keep the stick clear, because as I say, this Mr. Surfacer is very prone to clogging your sticks. So there we go. So you can see there, we're going through the primer and we're sanding out that V has disappeared now. So that's cool. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. If you see an area where the primer is not sanded, that means it's a low spot, and obviously where you're seeing the plastic coming through, you could think that's a high spot, but it's probably just you sanding through the primer because you've already dealt with the high spots. Alright, so that's that. So that's all looking good. We can give that another coat of primer and we'll see how it looks. Here on this back edge, remember we had sink marks along the edge, so we can just blend those out. Okay, so that'll be, we'll do the same on the other side. When it comes to the front end, here you can see again I've sanded out those the fur and everything, and I noticed I had a bit of a step along this back edge. So again, keeping it circular motions. You can see here, if I catch it in the light, you can see there's a couple of shiny patches in there. They're clearly low spots. So we can keep going until they disappear. And there we've got a nice flat surface. This area along the front. That's nicely done. As I say, I'm not gluing any of the, what I will do in another video is glue the panels together, because what we're going to have to do, as I've mentioned before, what we're going to have to do is build up the monocoque so we can fit the body to it and make sure everything fits before we start doing any painting. You can see here we have a low spot there. You can see there where the Mr. Surfacer is still shiny. So that's going to have to go. We're all good on this side. So yeah, we're going to have to put some more Mr. Surfacer there and just blend that out. And then just keep sanding on here. Get into that corner. So that front end is all corrected, just that little bit there to do. We'll give it another coat of primer and sand it back, so that's all good. And then when it comes to the roof, again I've gone over it and removed the dust. Again we've got our 400 grit. I'm just going around in circles, just seeing if we've got any high and low spots, and it's looking really good actually, the roof. It looks like we do have a very, very slight low spot there. It's just, the sander stick is only just touching it. But I'm really pleased that that's come out. And I think what I'm going to do now with this is get a 1000 grit sponge. Do the same, and that's going to take away any flats that I've put on there, particularly on these edges where we need a nice radius. So yeah, you can see that's looking good. There's that mould seam there which we wanted to get rid of. You can see there's still a step there because the black paint is showing it. Just get in there at the end of the sanding stick and remove that, and then polish it out. Do the same over here. That's gone already, so that's good. So we're all looking good. We're looking good. So I think that's our roof done. But as I say, I will leave this now for another, ruining my nice clean board with all this black paint. I will give this another coat of primer and then just basically repeat the process. You know, allowing for things to shrink. I mean, that roof looks lovely now, but in a few days it might not. But what I intend to do is put a video together on building the monocoque, and then we'll continue with the body, and we'll see about getting this body to fit nicely. And if you are building one of these, then you can follow along. As I say, I'm not intending to build this as a project for the channel. I just wanted to, after all the complaining and all the moaning about the state of this body, I just wanted to show you how I will go about sorting it out. I was once accused of raising issues but never showing solutions. Eh? I always show solutions. And that's the intention here. Okay, so I just got the 800 grit. I'm just removing the primer from there just to check we don't have any silly low spots or anything. Remember, we're going to be fitting arches here. I may actually cut these arches out. We'll have to see what we need to do. But I'm really happy with that. Really happy with how it's come out. And as you can see, all of that Mr. Surface there, that's what we're looking for. We want it all to be sanded. I know you can still see the V there because it's low and the primer has filled it up. But as long as it's sanded, then it won't show under another coat of primer. But we'll give it another coat of primer and then go from there. What I will do as well with the next coat is I'll put it on fairly dry. Like this was quite wet. I'll put it on fairly dry, and then it won't sort of eat into what's already there and make it shrink again. So there we've got these bits on the sides as well. Again, nice flat stick, flat hard stick. Just get that in there nicely like that. Just sand that out and see how it looks. There we go. Right, so that's that. So as I say, I hope you've enjoyed this little first two parts. Something we can see here, we can see that the Mr. Surfacer isn't sanded on that front edge, which means this panel here is kind of convex. The body's all flexible. I mean, it wouldn't be perfect anyway. This was moulded fiberglass, so don't fuss about it too much. But yeah, but you want it if you want to build a nice museum piece, then you want to get it as nice as possible, don't you? There we go. You got this ejector pin mark in the middle here, which is obviously where we've got no paint there. And then we've got this changing section here, which has given us the sort of steps. But I'm happy with that. That's fine. That's going to look great under a coat of primer. As I say, I'll give it another coat of primer now. Do it all the same again, and then I'll be back with another video to show you where we go from here. And as I say, I will be doing a video on the monocoque, building the monocoque, because I think there's going to be a few little tips and stuff for newer modelers that they'll enjoy, and go from there. And then once we get the monocoque done, we can fit the body to the monocoque, get all our joints nicely done, and well, basically what my intention is to they tell you to fit these panels into here with the hinges on, fit panels into here with hinges on. Obviously I'm not doing that yet. In case Italeri send me a perfect body, then I'll use that. But once I know where we're going, then I will assemble all of this up, get the hinges in, and rather than glue the hinges in, what I'll do is fit the body together, tape it all together, and then actually fit the hinges to the monocoque and glue them in position when the body is right. And that saves us having to alter any of these seams or anything, because this is a perfect fit on here, as you can see. I don't want to be messing around with that. So there we go. We'll do the same on the front as well. We'll actually not glue the hinges in, we'll leave them loose, but then when we fit the hinges into the part they fit on the monocoque, then we'll actually glue them in then with it all taped in place. Okay, because remember, if you've got these hinges that go on the back, they stick out and they're going to go into brackets that go under here. If you get them like that exaggerated and the ones on the body are like that exaggerated, you might end up with a rear end that's sat on an angle. So it's better to just do it all together. So I'll see you all for that. I don't know if that'll be the next video that comes out, or if it'll be the next part of the bodywork that comes out. I don't know, we'll see. But there we go. And as I say, it's Christmas Day, so I wish you a happy Christmas, which is pretty daft because you'll be watching this after Christmas, won't you? Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.